Well, good morning. We are just pulling out of a rest area as soon as the guy next to us decides he's going to go. Um, Up here in Wisconsin this morning, we thought we would get an early start to our day. Um, Judy,
Considering the time changed.
considering the time change, yes.
So we're
Um,
really early this morning.
yeah, I think Judy pulled in here late last night. I was asleep. It wasn't even late last night, it
Wasn't
was
even late
yesterday
last
afternoon.
night.
I went to sleep and woke up about 12 hours later. So I've had a good night's sleep. We were just looking for a place to spend the evening, and she found the rest area here. I think we're on Interstate 39, somewhere north of Madison. Uh, oh, I guess we're still on 90.
Yep, we're still on 90.
Um, so, yeah, that's what we're
We
doing
don't hit
this morning.
39
We're
for a
headed
little
down
while.
to Portage, Wisconsin. There is a big Petro down there. We're going to spend the rest of the day and get up there in the morning. Yeah, we're right there. As you can see the sign coming up, we're on 90 and 94. Beautiful sunrise this morning. It's a little chilly out. How cold is it out, wife?
It is 41 degrees Fahrenheit.
41
Just in
Fahrenheit.
case you go by Celsius. It's
Just
not that.
yeah, yeah. If you go by Celsius, that would be, I think, 5 degrees Celsius. Yes.
That sounds a lot colder.
Sounds a lot colder. So we had a long week this last week. We actually delivered yesterday in Minneapolis. We were not expecting to get a load to run on the weekend, but Friday afternoon we were sitting just north of Louisville. We got a call from an agent, worked out the details, and decided we would go ahead and take the load. And so here we are. It was ended up being a good week.
Yeah, we do not have a load for Monday yet.
That's true.
And Jim's working on his reset.
Yes.
I probably won't get one unless we don't get a load for tomorrow, and then I'll get one. But might have to work on those rollover hours
Right.
that
Um,
we're don't usually have to do, but this week we might have to.
Yeah, in case you're not aware of it, we only get 70 hours to work within an 8 day period. And so each day that we drive or we're on duty, those hours slip away from us. And so, what'd you say? You had like 30 hours left?
24.
24 hours left in the week in our 70 hours. And so,
Which is good for a couple days clocks.
right.
You know?
But if she, so we have like what's called a 34-hour reset. And if we set and are off duty or in a sleeper berth for 34 hours, we get the full 70 hours back. And then we have 8 days to work and spend those 70 hours. So right now, with Judy being down to 24, if we were to get a load, she's got 24 hours to work on that. And then once those are out, you can't drive any longer. You can be on duty, but you can't drive. But one of the nice things is that 8 days is a rolling 8 days. And any hours that she drove, let's just say last Monday, which I know we drove last Monday, but those hours, if she doesn't get her 34-hour reset, she would actually get those hours back on Tuesday. So even though we're technically probably could run out of hours, it's sort of hard to do.
It's also very hard to explain,
Yeah,
obviously.
it's hard to explain. If you had to like a picture and a graph, I could take a half an hour and you would still not really understand it. We don't really understand it. Thank goodness that all of our time is done on the
Thank
Qualcomm.
goodness the Qualcomm keeps track of
Yeah.
it for us.
I'm
Or
looking.
the C-Link or the Omnitrax or the whatever you call that thing.
Yeah, yeah. This is sort of a stream of consciousness morning. So if we get you lost, don't worry, we're lost too. So I'm sitting here looking at the video and it's recording. It's very bright. It's not that bright out. So I must have the exposure turned up a little bit. So, but anyway, you
Yeah,
get
it
the
looks a
idea.
lot more daylight than it is.
Yeah,
outside.
it is a beautiful daylight morning. In all actuality, it's quite a bit darker. But Judy stopped last night because this is the time of year that we really do not like to drive after dark.
Actually, dusk is the worst part.
Yeah, dusk. Because this is the time when the deer like to come out and play. and
We lost count of the amount that were alongside the road,
yeah, there's
not mobile anymore.
yeah, there's just so many deer up here that have been killed, um, and you're just always really nervous at night because they just come out of nowhere. Um, and
And
then
dawn's about the same time they start
yeah,
coming out again too. So this is not the best time to drive, but at least it's light enough you can kind of see.
yeah. Hopefully you won't see any
Yeah.
because we don't want to see any this morning. But yeah, there's about a month long from late October into early November when the deer seem to just, they're in their rut, they're chasing each other, they lose their minds, and they just seem, for whatever reason, normally they would shy away from the road and everything, and then, now they're just everywhere. We've
Yeah.
got,
I have a very good question. This is a scientific question for you of those out there who know the deer population. Is rut season the same everywhere in the country? I mean, you think about it. Is it?
well, it's like, you know, we went through Pennsylvania here about 2 weeks ago, and it was just, deer massacre city. They were like everywhere. Didn't see any that night, any live deer, but saw a whole bunch of dead ones. And then we came through there the other night, same route, same portion of the turnpike, and I didn't see hardly any. And but then we come up here, and it's like the same way. So yeah, that's a good question. Is the rut the same throughout the country, or is it just sort of localized or
Or like
regionalized?
in Texas, all those deer that always sit on the long side of the road and they're always there.
Yeah,
Is it the same season for them?
I
Because cold and warm and seasonal changes aren't as big in some areas of the country.
right,
So
right,
how does
yeah.
that work? I
Yeah, in
don't know.
Texas, I probably talked about it before, but one of my least favorite drives in the entire country is to drive across I-10 in Texas at night because you will see literally hundreds of deer, and they're all standing right out by the road, and usually they're just eating, and you never see any killed,
Yeah, I was gonna say they're the smart deer. For some reason, they live in Texas. I don't know why.
but but you will see hundreds of them sometimes at night, and it's just and they're just that big stretch west of Austin and San Antonio, and then until you get almost out into where it's just basically flat, nothing desert, but you just see them, and they're just right by the road, and some of them will stand and look at you, and some of them's got their backs turned to you, and it's just really sort of nerve wracking at certain times.
Yeah,
But
and are those deer down there? They're a little bit smaller than ours, right?
yeah, they are. I mean, some of the deer we've seen up here are just massive. We saw
Oh, and the buck are out. That's for sure.
yesterday we saw a couple of bucks that were often on the side that were live deer. They were running through fields, but they just I mean, they're like trophy bucks, and it's just sort of crazy. So, but that's one of the things we deal with. We have friends of ours that own a fleet. They said they had two of their trucks hit deer this week, and actually the truck they were driving in got hit. Luckily, the deer ran into the truck instead of them running into the deer. A deer can cause a massive amount of damage. Now, you've probably seen pictures. This truck actually has a deer guard on the front. Hopefully, we never get to find out if it's effective. Um,
Well,
but the,
thank you.
but a lot of times, the trucks that don't have the deer guard, if the deer, you hit them, then this is a horrible topic for Sunday morning, I realize. But if you hit the deer just right, I mean, they can burst the radiator. They can get taken underneath the truck and pull out a whole bunch of airlines or whatever. I mean, it can be a very, very costly, put you on the side of the road right now collision. But like I said, our friends, the deer ran into the side of their sleeper. It still caused damage, but and of course damage to the deer. But at least it's the truck it's basically cosmetic damage, nothing that really affects the truck or anything. So, but hopefully we just don't see any deer. So maybe we're done talking about deer.
Topic finished, completed.
Finished.
Now let's talk about the video and how shaky it is because on this part of the road, evidently, we get the bumps and the not part. This would be the part if somebody was sleeping and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I think the road's concrete, so it's got the seams, and of course, since we're up here in Wisconsin, you get the frost heave, so the roads get to be really, really bumpy and
or where they've
whatever.
tried to patch them. And
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they've actually, I'm sure you probably can't see it in the road, but it looks like over the seams, they've actually either repaired the seams or they've grinded them down where the edges turn up. I don't know how they've done it, but
oh,
anyway.
speaking of which, if anybody's headed up towards Minnesota, was it on 94? The construction
Oh, yeah.
that was like a half hour of stop traffic, and
Yeah. We,
it was not. We weren't expecting it, except for it said like a mile ahead that hey, you might be waiting 20 minutes, and it wound up being a half hour, I think.
yeah, we were headed into Minneapolis, well, St. Paul. You cross the river there, and they were apparently working on the bridge, and we had like, we're just driving along just like this, and then all of a sudden stop traffic for like a half an hour.
Yeah, four lanes into one is what I think it was.
Exactly. 4 lanes into one, and people are, I don't like to be negative, but I don't know why people insist on having to be at the front of the line. It's like, were they not taught in school that you don't cut?
Thought we were taught that in kindergarten.
Yeah, but there are
Preschool.
people, we're sitting there and there's 4 lanes going into one, and obviously it's sort of a pain. But people would literally pull out, and one of the lanes was open for maybe like a quarter of a mile.
For
but they
the
would,
ramps getting on and off.
yeah, they would just pull out and go right around everybody, way up into the front, and then cut right back over. And it's just like, if everybody would just stay in their lane and just do the
And
zipper
merge.
merge,
Yeah, zipper merge.
we wouldn't be here nearly as long. But it's people that just feel that they have to get to the front of the line. And I don't know what's going on with people, but it's just like all of a sudden in the post-COVID world, people forgot how to drive.
Yeah, and people, for whatever reason, and not everybody, obviously, because the majority of people are courteous and do what you would think people would do on the road. But and you get into traffic jam like that, and then it was not necessarily like that headed up that direction from the left-hand side. It was people using the ramps and stuff, but letting people in. I mean, it's okay to use those merge lanes up until you can merge, but then zipper it and don't get irritated and like not let someone in, because that causes traffic jams too. Just try to keep the traffic flowing, which means you might have to slow down a little bit and let someone in. That's all right too.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, it's just people have become very uncourteous drivers. I guess that's the word. We just passed the exit for the Wisconsin Dells,
Woohoo!
which is like a
Never
big
been there.
touristy area up here in Wisconsin. Yeah, we've never been there. We go past it, we see like there's a Kalahari Resort and a Great Bear Lodge or Great Wolf Lodge, whatever it is.
And they got three Bears Resort or something up here.
Yeah.
And their season's coming up here with the winter.
Yeah.
And the hunting seasons. There's a lot of tourist activity up here in the winter, which a lot of people probably don't realize.
Yeah. So let's talk about our week.
Review our week now that everybody's done listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you've all went your separate ways, let's talk about our week. Where did we start our week off at?
Where did we? I told you have to say this part because I don't remember what we did this week.
We started off our week in central Illinois.
Oh, that's right.
We deadheaded up to just west of Chicago, and we picked up a load that went over to Maryland, just south of Baltimore.
Yep.
That was a good load. It's aerospace type stuff that we always sort of love to do.
Well, actually, both of us like to haul that.
Well, I like to haul the aerospace stuff because it's usually clean. The people are excited to see you when you get there, and when you go to the unloading place, it's usually you get right in, you get right out. You don't have any hassles, and it's usually something neat. But in this case, it wasn't really neat. Yeah, it was just some liquid stuff. So we went and we did that. That's where we drove through the Pennsylvania Turnpike that night. There weren't very many deers at all. And so to avoid the tolls as best we could, We came back down Interstate 65 to Indianapolis and across 70. Eventually, we had to get on the turnpike. We took that for a little ways through Pennsylvania. Got off in Breezewood on Interstate 70, took 70 north or south into the Baltimore area, unloaded, and then sorry, dropped something. Um, After we were done with that, we decided we would drive a little bit north of Baltimore. Went up and sat at one of the
Your favorite truck stop?
well, we first started at Service Plaza there on 95,
Oh,
and
okay.
then we went on up to, and then we got the
Forgot about
loads.
that.
We got loads. We decided to do something a little different. Agent offered us a decent load for Thursday. Of course, this was Tuesday morning. We decided we would take a chance, and it paid off.
Have a little faith.
I had a little faith. So we decided, well, if we take a load for Thursday, we may get another load between now and then, or we may get a load Friday. The load Friday was coming to Louisville, so we might get something after that. So we just decided we would go ahead and take the load, and we did. So then we drove up to Elkton, Maryland, and the world's widest truck parking spots.
Yeah, by the way, there is nothing in Elkton
Nothing.
at the TA.
Nothing.
There is
No
zero restaurants. When we say nothing, we mean there's no food.
There's no food.
Other than their snack stuff they provide.
They do have good showers, though.
Yeah, the showers are nice water pressure and all
Yes.
that good stuff, and the attendants are really nice
Yeah.
and sweet.
So we drove up to Elkton, basically went to bed.
Yeah, that was another 12-hour sleep. For
Yeah,
you, I
because we
think.
figured, we're going to have all day Wednesday morning to get up and do what we need to do, get laundry done, whatever we need to do. So anyway, we get up early, go in, and as sitting in the truck, phone rings, agent's got a load that picks up now.
And that was the same agent we
Same
did the
agent.
Thursday load for, so she
Yeah.
was keeping an eye out for us, which was
Yep.
really nice.
Thankfully, she found us a load, and well, we had to go and pick it up like right now. So we had to go up to Massachusetts, and it was coming right back to Pennsylvania, basically right on top of where we were picking the load up that was coming to Louisville. And so we ran up there and we did that, and we got to have a really cool experience because the place in Massachusetts, we have hauled a lot of stuff out of there. And
a lot when we
a
first
couple-
started with Landstar.
Yeah, and a couple years ago when we first started with Landstar, we were in there literally sometimes 3 times a week. We were on a dedicated run for a little while, and we hauled out of there. We got to know the guys working on the dock really, really well, and occasionally we'll go up there and get a load, but not so much. But we got to know those guys pretty well, and it just so happens we were going to where we didn't know if any of them were going to be there.
Yeah, and sometimes when we do go up there, we have to go to the other dock, which is
Yeah.
not the building they work in.
Yeah. And so we ended up going, and 2 of the guys were there that we knew really well. So it was great to see them. Got to talk to them a little bit, how things were going and everything. They were, just really sort of surprised to see us because here we just show up out of the blue, which we do sometimes. But anyway, we got to do that, and then since the load we had on the truck, there was nothing special about it. There wasn't any high security load. It was just literally it was empty containers, right?
Yeah.
And so on our way back, we got to go to our favorite. I will say that. I'd say that's probably our favorite little restaurant in the entire country that we've been to. It's in Rhode Island. It's actually across the street from the TA. It's called Dan's Place.
So if you ever get close to the Northeast and you can stay at the TA in Rhode Island,
Yes, walk across the
just
street.
do it just so you can eat over at Dan's.
Go to Dan's Place. They have a large gluten-free menu, which, me and my gluten issues was awesome. They did have a bowl of clam. They have clam chowder, and it's awesome. I got a big bowl of clam chowder.
When they got that French onion soup, I think that
Yes.
Mary likes, right?
Yeah, one of our driver friends really loves their French onion soup. And they have,
Carrot
cheesecake.
cake.
Carrot cake. Yeah. So anyway, but we ended up getting a piece.
Yeah, because you got the gluten free.
I got the gluten free pizza crust. It's really, really good. Judy got the regular. She really loves that too. So we got to do that. So
and then that provides us a couple meals too.
Yes.
So we can, if we get 2 pizzas, then we got pizza for a day or 2 later.
Tuck some back to the truck.
Yep.
And so, well, we had to drive in. It wasn't that late at night, so we stayed all night. I got up the next morning, drove down to our delivery, got there a little early, but they had a good place to park. We sat there, got our stuff unloaded, and went to our second pickup. No real hitch there. Picked up, drove. We knew that the place in Louisville we could always set at. We've delivered there a few times over the years. We knew
Just a few.
Yeah. We knew we'd have a good place to set, and so we drove straight through. Got there about midnight, and then next morning got unloaded. It's nice we had an appointment to unload, and so
that particular place, you need appointments for. Now sometimes your appointment time you can get in earlier, which we did.
Yeah,
which was nice.
So we got unloaded, and then we came up to Indiana, and we're sitting at a truck stop, and then that's when the agent called, and we got the other load. Had to go back to Tennessee to pick that up, and then we delivered up in Minnesota, like I said, on Saturday morning, which is unusual to unload on Saturday.
Yeah, because usually you have to sit on it for the weekend.
But we didn't.
Do it Saturday morning.
We got that there.
But that's something that they needed quickly.
Yes, we were told that they needed it there as soon as possible. They needed a team on it because if they didn't get it, they were going to shut the plant down. So that was one of those true expedite loads that we had to hurry up, go get, and take on our way. Not everything that we haul is like that, but in this case it was. So that was basically our week.
Right, which brings us back to why our hours are down and why I might not get a reset.
So we are probably getting pretty close to the truck stop now.
Yep, we're about 11 miles out.
The one thing I wanted to bring up, and by this point there's probably 2 of you watching, so you'll both be excited. I do have another video that we're going to put out at some point in time pretty soon. We actually changed trucks. We are in a different truck than we were for the last 3 years. The truck is identical. I mean, they were literally built at the same time, built to the same specs.
Except the toolboxes, but
we're missing 2 toolboxes. We have to get that fixed.
Which was a little puzzle.
But we just swapped out. Our owner had a truck that had fewer miles on it, and we decided we would change. And so we are now in this truck. I think there's we're missing a mirror on the bathroom door, and that's the big change. And I think
I almost thought when you said mirror you were going to mean one of the ones outside. I'm no, what are you talking about? Forgot about one of them on the bathroom.
And our tabletop and our tiny little counter are different colored.
Yeah,
they're a darker color.
That's about it. And that's the only real difference there is.
But
the camera system's different too.
Yeah, but we spent 3 days recently switching out of the old truck into the new truck, and so we'll have a video about that at some point in time. But we just wanted to point that out. So I think that's all we've basically had to say this morning.
Yep, except for I think we're going to have to work on our lighting for the video.
I'm going to have to edit the video a little bit. It's very, very washed out. Yeah. So.
Well, you might not be able to see it because he might fix it. So you'll not have any idea what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what we're talking about. But anyway, that gives me something to play with today. So anyway.
With today. We got a lot on our
we've got laundry, we got cleaning the truck. We've got our finances we keep track of, our numbers for the week. Got to get all that done.
We really try to do finances once a week, and that has been so helpful over the years. But anyway, and we have church, and with the time change, we'll have to
the wonderful time change. Don't forget about that.
Yeah. So if you are headed to church, or you've already done church, hopefully you didn't show up at
an hour early. And now that we're looking
early.
directly into the sun, I definitely can't see anything. So, but
alrighty. So I suppose this is a good time to sign off.
Yes, since you can't see anything. So, all right.
So long, everybody. Have a great week.
Good night.